Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. I hope everybody's doing well. You know, it occurred to me that I have not quadruple checked my audio, but I'm doing it now, and yes, it looks good. All right, we should be good to go. How is everybody? Has it been a good week? I actually have felt pretty spry this week, so I'm in a good mood today. Let's see, Preliminal is in. I'm still having trouble saying that right. Vivian Mercier, Angels Don't Fall, Aston 108, Joe Blore, Melson Mandela is in. So it's a little easier for me to start on time now that I actually don't have to rush home and then try to get everything to work, and then my computer doesn't give me any crap. So I'm liking it. The one thing I need to do probably, though, is bring my lighting in here. But the lighting in here is not bad, which is one of the reasons I've been slacking. I think we shifted, but it could be just me. I don't know. There were people on Redcon saying that they thought they shifted, and I'm just like... But they weren't really clear on why. I have noticed some, like, changes in the house, but that was, like, last week. And I think last week I was saying I was tired, so that might be from that shift. One of the things I was just thinking, though, is I don't really know if, like, it doesn't really seem like all the shifts happen when we shift. Like, what it feels like happens is we all feel crappy and energetically, and all, and my brain... Like, yeah, you know, there's days when your brain feels all scrambly and you just don't feel like doing anything. And then there's weird aches and pains, or you just feel nauseous or sleepy, or you sleep a ton. There's those times which seem to come in waves. But that doesn't really seem to be like right when everything shifts. It seems like then that happens, and then the actual physical shifts kind of trickle in, like... maybe on that day, but it might be 5 days later, or, 10 days later, or like you might, like we've already documented, we know that like if you see one shift in an area, then more changes often trickle in that area. So like one thing changes, and then that tree changes, and then that facade changes on that building, and then the door changes, and then so they don't all just go boop into place. So it just occurs to me that's actually a clue there, that it doesn't all happen at once. So I'm not sure, like every other clue, I'm not sure what that means really, but I think it should be marked down as a clue, that they don't all happen at once. And I mean, this is not locked in stone, but I feel like also that all the changes don't happen when you feel crappy. I mean, I kind of had hypothesized up until now that, well, you feel like crap, so you're not paying attention, and then you don't notice the changes until the next days and weeks. But I'm starting to suspect that they're not all happening then when you feel like crap. And there is another little change in my house, and it's just so many stupid things. I don't know if it's even worth saying a lot of these stupid little things, but it's like I have these vertical blinds that my mother put in eons ago, and they used to be double-sided, so that each blind, like there's many little like kind of fabric slats that hang, and then you can turn them flat to block out the light, or you can turn a little thing and then it causes them to go like this and let the light through. And that's great if you have cats and stuff, because they don't dangle on them as much, and the dust doesn't collect on them like when you have the horizontal ones. So I really like those, but they're a little pricey. My mom got them. I would have never been able to afford those things. But the point is that they used to have this pattern on one side and the reverse pattern on the other, so they both sides looked pretty styling, right? But I noticed, I think it was about a week ago, that only the outside has the pattern, and the inside of the curve now doesn't have the pattern and looks unfinished. So we have one window that, for whatever reason, for eons now, we always turn it the same way, and it's with the curves pointing out to the middle of the room. And that was always fine, because it was just the reverse of the pattern, which doesn't look that different than the front pattern. It's a real subtle, like, paisley pattern, which reminds me, I got to check and see if it's still a paisley pattern. But I noticed sitting there like about a week ago that, first of all, the other window that still has the outside of the curve pointing towards the middle of the room, Those all now have these little plastic protectors on the edge, and the plastic protectors catch the light, and so there'll be like these strips of light. So I looked over there, I'm like, what are all those strips of light? And it's the plastic protectors, which I don't remember existing. But I was like, yeah, maybe I just forgot. But I was a little suspicious because I'm like, you'd think I would have seen them. They've only been in there for 20 years, you know. So, so then I'm looking at the other ones and I realize there's no way that they have like this unfinished, like non-shiny spots, like the paint, whatever the finish is, didn't like get it all the way, which I think kind of sucks though, because if you have the nice stuff pointing out from the outside of the window, you can still see the poor quality of the insides, and that just wasn't a thing. There was no poor quality side, and there does not make sense for there to be a poor quality side, but now there is one. So I keep looking at it going, why do they suck now? So anyway, that long story short, there has been one thing in the house that has shifted, which I don't really care for. It's certainly not the end of the world, though. I feel like it's first world problems kind of deal. I felt scrambly on Monday. I think it was from not serotonin level. Yeah, I don't even know. I spent most of the day reorganizing my kitchen. Okay. A crapless computer day. I don't even know what half of these, like, you know, one thing I did notice, you know, that is true now that I think about it. Earlier in the week, I didn't feel bad, but I did feel spaced out. And so spaced out that I was having trouble writing decent sentences. Like, I thought they were decent. In my head, they were decent sentences as I was typing them. And then I have learned that since my ability to type the things in my head has degraded in recent years, I go back and I check them to make sure that I didn't screw up anything. And what I found was that I had to check stuff like 3 times because I'd see, oop, I spelled that wrong. Oops, that word is just completely wrong. Like, I'd think like, and I'd write like spike or something. I mean, like, it's just like, what? You know, why are my fingers not typing the words? I found so many mistakes. I'm like, this is just embarrassing. Otherwise, I feel fine. But there were a couple of days with like absolutely rampant mistakes too. I'm like, I'm glad it's gone now the last few days, frankly, because that was pretty bad. It's bad when you proofread twice, fix it, and still find ones in the sentences only 10 words long. That is bad. So that's the only symptom, though, and that's not my normal symptoms. I have felt a little creaky joints, but I've done some new exercising. I've been taking care of some horses at a rescue facility, doing work that I'm not used to doing, you know, that kind of thing. So I kind of just wrote that all off as like, you know, new muscles and stuff. So I can't really say on that one. You know, the one thing I kind of did notice, though, is that although I did this new kind of work, and I feel kind of creaky, but what I don't feel is the normal soreness of muscles. Like, there used to be this kind of, like, when you would tighten that muscle, it'd be like, ow. I don't actually feel that soreness. So that might be part of what's confusing me, is it doesn't feel the same as I'm used to sore muscles feeling. Like, it's less sore would be the thing I would call it. It's more like a vague ache occasionally instead of a sharper soreness when I move the muscle. So I don't know, is anybody else experiencing all that, or is it just me? US map suddenly more wonky. If I have time, I'll go over the US map. I don't know, the US map always looks wonky to me, and then it looks more wonky, and then more wonky. Yeah, so preliminal, now that you said that, that does kind of remind me. You know, I just have so many weird little phases I go through that I think unless it's really bad, I'm just like, yeah, it's one of them days. I really like loving Eva's new camera and setup. Thanks. I'm actually really liking it too, and I think it's a lot better quality because you can, you know, the quality of the image is so much better. This computer is so much more smooth, and I can go back to putting like 10 windows up there and running all the programs, and I've got my backdrop now, and I don't have to worry. Low serotonin affects sleep. I'm not sure. Melatonin. That might be melatonin. Serotonin is one of the mood hormones. Melatonin is also a hormone, but it's more associated with sleep. At least extracellular melatonin is. That's why they suggest maybe taking some melatonin before bed. I was writing an all-night essay on Sunday night. Well, that will mess up a few things. So much weird stuff in the news. Yeah, I'm going to go over a little bit of it. I'm here and alive. Well, you know, I'm definitely working on appreciating everything good in life. I think it really helps draw more good in if you appreciate all the good you have. It's like law of attraction or whatever, but it really does seem to help. And, you know, like I've said before, I've come from a kind of a habit of being very negative on a lot of things. So it's been, you know, a challenge for me to really turn that habit around. But it's definitely showing dividends, I would say, in my overall mood. To constantly, well, I'm going to say constantly, but on a regular basis, choosing a happier thought. I mean, it sounds so simple, yet it is not. It is more challenging than it sounds, like way more challenging. But on the flip side, the dividends have been there. On Monday, I went to my counselor lady. She is really nice. Well, that's good. See, another good thing to think. Another thing to think is good. I say, used to be like, well, this is good, but... Oh, well, that looks nice, but in a week it'll look that bad again. Oh, this sun is pretty, but there's a storm next week. You know, I always butted everything, too. That was my other thing. I would, like, kind of negate it. My hair looks good today, but it probably won't last. You know, so that's another thing that I've been, like, really working on. Like, okay, so Monday I felt really scrambly in the head, but otherwise I felt pretty good and the day went fine, right? You know, so just things like that. It's a habit, you know, it's a habit that shifts bit by bit sometimes. You know, you can't always jump to like super positive lands, but another thing this week, I don't know if I finally got the vegetable favoring shift, but you know, normally when I taste popcorn, it will taste either kind of good or like styrofoam. And we're making the popcorn, so it's not like different brands, but Dave made some popcorn and I was really hungry, so I took a few bites and it was like nectar of the gods. And it's just plain old popcorn with a little butter and a little salt. That's all that was on there. And there was so little butter that you couldn't even see that. I thought it was going to be plain because there wasn't much on there. And somehow I've never tasted such delicious popcorn. And we just buy the kernels. I mean, there's no added flavors. So I don't know why. You know, I was like, what is this? Like, there's really not that many calories on it other than a bit of butter. But it was so good. And today I cooked some vegetables. Now, I usually like those vegetables. I just get like little bits of carrot and cabbage and stuff, and then I just kind of fry it a little in butter. And today I was like, oh, this is the best thing ever. So like suddenly I like plant-based stuff more, at least this week. The end of a 4x4 landed on my big toe, no pain. Then same day dropped something on the same toe, again, very little pain. Interesting. I was just kind of thinking about that the other day, that I definitely don't think that I feel the same level of pain that I used to. And I think I had it on before that, you know, when eyelashes used to get in my eyes, that used to really hurt. Like, I'd have to stop everything and get that lash out of there. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe the new body structure, that's just not a thing. Because sometimes I'll see there's a lash in there, and I didn't even know. And only if it kind of gets crunched up on the side does it hurt a little bit, which would be not normally. So I thought, okay, the new body's like that. But I just saw a post on Reddit the other day where somebody was complaining about the stupidity of the human system, that we have eyelashes to protect the eye, but the eyelashes fall in and cause more trouble than anything else. And I'm like, I have not had a problem with that lately for the last bunch of years. So, you know, I kind of wonder, I'm like, okay, is my nervous system just dying or what? But, you know, like the negative view, I'm dying. The positive view, I'm stronger. You know, which one do you like better? Yeah, so Vivian, my videos are higher resolution because I've switched to my work computer and I moved everything over here and I figured out how to get OBS to work over here. And thankfully it wasn't too complicated. I kind of put it off because I was afraid I couldn't get OBS to work over here because I had kind of forgotten how I got OBS to work the first time. So I just took a whole bunch of photos of every setting I had at the other place. And then I came over here and then I replicated them for the most part, but I did up the resolution, crossing my fingers that it would work. And it does work. And see, no warnings about bad connections because this computer is hardwired into the Cox cable here, whereas the other one was on Wi-Fi, so that probably helps too. And like I've said before, I've really noticed that the internet here is just better because at the other workplace I had before I moved, that one was also hardwired in and it was also Cox, but the quality was much lower over there. And I think it might be because it was residential. But here I am in a business district in the middle of the night when everybody else has gone home. So I'm hopefully it's, you know, not competing with me since they all went home. China is such a bizarre Mandela effect. Yeah, it looks like a giant chicken too. Have you seen the map of the Wi-Fi radiation? No, I haven't. I'm almost kind of not sure if I want to look at negative stuff so much anymore. I'm kind of getting this attitude like if you think negative, it makes it have more power. So that's kind of why I don't want to go, oh, the Wi-Fi's here, I'm going to get sick. And then the more I want to think, Wi-Fi is not going to bother me because I'm stronger and I'm healthier and blah, blah, blah. That's kind of how I feel like I want to try to think more. Yeah, it never used to look like a giant chicken. And then Russia didn't used to look like a horse. And Japan didn't used to look like a dragon or something like that. Yeah, exactly. I try to be positive, but others keep bringing up the BS. Yeah, I know, and I think maybe that's just part of the challenge, is maybe to not get sucked in, but maybe even to just, like, a little bit nudge them to a little bit more positive. I mean, you're not going to rewrite the script, right? But you might be able to nudge the script just a little bit if you don't get sucked in yourself. So that's what I'm kind of trying to do now, because that's my latest task. Like, just subtly, well, you know, hey, at least blah, blah, blah. Or, yeah, that might be true, but, you know, I think we can get out of it. Or, you know, there's often some little thing. Or just change the subject. Okay, live chat. Live chat. Of course, now it's all going to be all over the place. Oh, you talking about that alien in Mexico? Yeah. Yeah, so I guess in the news, somebody told me in the news that there's been like a A lot of these I don't remember, but they're old for this timeline. But apparently there's some kind of alien that was shown in Congress, and it's like a mummified little creature. And of course, as you said, it looks really like a really badly carved. Let's see. Let me dig this thing up here. Alien, Mexico. I think it was in Congress. Low quality carving, of which I have seen much better quality. I mean, like, who has ribs like that? Let's see if there's enough image here. 1,000-year-old alien corpses displayed at Mexico Congress. Now, I have never heard of these things or seen them. It looks fakier than fake to me. Gosh, can I have a better image, please? Maybe this one. They're saying these are mummies. They don't look like mummies. They look like sandstone carvings of low quality. I don't really see in this being a very effective shape for movement. You know, what's up with the ribs? It's just gouges. All the aliens I've seen seem to have something that has better quality looking ribs than that. You know, like, none of this looks really like an effective structural design, and it just looks really like a low quality carving. But, you know, I've definitely seen now that I'm just wondering if it looks really fake, and then as the shifts go on, this will start to look better, because I have seen that with some of the old things, that it shifts into reality. Like, this is the beginning of the seed and it's low quality and it shifts, and then suddenly, hey, new research shows that it has a strange DNA. Hey, look, you know, these radiographic images actually show internal structures or something. You know, I mean, like, the stuff crawls in. The corroboration and the improvements, like, crawl in. Oh, hey, look, is this supposed to be the radiographic image? Let's see. Alien corpse displayed in Mexico. Presentation slammed as gimmick. Blah. However, critics have slammed presentation as a stunt. What happened at the hearing? The body was represented in cases. Who testified under oath? He said the remains are not mummies, nor were they manipulated. The bodies were supposedly originally found in Peru's Nazca lines, which raised questions about how they were taken out of the country and transported to Mexico. There is a criminal complaint from the Ministry of Culture against some people who had a relationship with Mausen and his associates. Mausen also alleged that x-rays reveal one of the beings had eggs inside it. Okay, I'm kind of looking at this radiograph, or this x-ray here. And what do I see? Okay, I see that there's some kind of rib structure. So you could use, like, pieces of wood or something for this. You could take a piece of wood and put it in there, or whatever might show on an x-ray, and stick it in there. Okay, and it really looks like every rib is the same exact length and stuff. Okay, and then there seems to be some kind of really simplistic hip bend here. But also what I'm not seeing is, I don't see any bones coming down this arm. So what is it like? It has, there looks like joints here, right? But there's no bones in them. There's no bones here. There's only bones here. And then a little bit there. So that doesn't, you know, like, so you take one of these things and you have, like, say, some kind of rudimentary design, and then you put the plaster over it and you get this. Just because there's something in the x-ray, though, I don't feel like this is a very realistic looking internal structure, I guess is my point. And easily faked. We should be able to see some neat detail and stuff. So I'm really suspicious about this. But again, you know, in 10 shifts in 3 years, maybe we'll look at this and we'll go, wow, look, there is bones here. There is, you know. So I see that with with how reality operates too. So that's one of the reasons. I mean, in the past, I would say this is baloney and an obvious fake, but I don't say that now because of the things I just said. The Schumann Residence has been off the charts crazy for 4 to 5 days. Okay. Okay. It affects us big time. You know, I come from a timeline when there was no Schumann Residence. Residence. Maybe it's still getting me. Hold on, I just dropped the lid. My water. Okay, so then there was only Schumann Resonance 1, and now there's resonances. So the paper machete aliens, I mean, I think we're talking about the paper mache aliens, right? Are they real? I think is that what I just talked about there? Is that them? Did I get it? Yeah, so, I mean, I've definitely, and I hate to say it, but Mexico's kind of famous for fake stuff. I mean, I think when you have people who are pretty good at building stuff, but they don't have a job and they don't have money, then they just put their creative juices to work getting, you know, something together. So, like, some of the most artfully created fake gemstone specimens come out of Mexico, where they take little shards and they assemble it and they say, oh, this is a natural specimen in the wild. I'm like, no, it's not. And they'll make, you know, a lot of those. So, in Morocco, they carve fake fossils and sell them. And in Mexico, they put together fake gemstone sprays. I mean, the pieces will be real, but they'll be assembled in a non-original form. I used to think Schumann brings in negative changes. People are getting majorly illogical and aggressive. I'm still a nice person, but the stress makes me want to live in my car. Yeah. I don't, you know, the only thing I could say is if you work really, you practice really diligently. Somebody I saw on IMEC, one of the speakers, called it fun work. Instead of homework, he called it fun work. Like, and I really like the term, so I'm totally snagging it, because I've been trying to think of a word that makes it sound more fun. Like, homework doesn't sound fun. Practicing doesn't even really sound that fun. And work sure as heck does not sound fun. But fun work, that sounds fun. Fun work is to just concentrate on everything fun. And it just seems like it does make things a lot easier. A lot easier. Not that you ignore negative things. It's just don't dwell on them. You know, you acknowledge their existence, but then don't think about it like 100 more times today. You know it's there. That's enough. Yeah, the fake taxidermy is kind of an art too. Stuff frogs doing weird stuff, you know. Alright, so I think every petrified being that is discovered is always challenged as fake. It's possibly a real transition petrified being. Could be, but again, I don't think we're there yet, but maybe a couple more shifts. Hand bone should be very complicated. Yep. Yeah, the whole thing, you know, like, so it shows. Do I still have it? No, I got rid of it. But, so it shows the shape like there's a joint there. Like, you know, there's a bump here as if there's a joint. There's, like a bump here as if there's a joint. But there's no bones in the joint. So that just doesn't make sense to me. You know, if it was a tentacle creature, right, then it wouldn't have a weird joint right where normal joints are. If it was a tentacle creature, maybe I would not expect to see bones in there. But if they're going to build it just like it's a human, like, style, like the, what do you call that? You know, kind of like our style. If you do it like that, then there should be bones in there. I mean, those joints those bumps in the middle of the arm are made by the bone joints. That's why there's a big lump in the middle, because that's where the bone joint is. So it doesn't make sense to have a lump there, but no bones. And like, how would the flesh all survive, but not the bones? So that's why I'm like, you know, that. But again, you know, we may check this again in 3 weeks or a year or 3 years, and then see more detail that was always there. So that's why now I look at these things very differently. Michael Russum, your wife passed on. Yeah, I'm very sorry about that. It is definitely difficult. Okay, so one thing I noticed this week, I should have warned you, okay? I noticed the insects are coming, okay? There's actually there's 3 I noticed, and I somehow didn't write down the 3rd one. And the one I forgot was a pretty good one. I might have been some weird thing in Florida or something. Somebody said, I never heard of these. Somehow I don't have it on my... Oh, you know, okay, I know what it is. Okay. I think there is another one, but I see the one I'm looking at. All right, so there's this one. Okay, this I saw, and they called it the Texas toe biter. So not only is this big and icky, but it does bite toes. It'll bite you. It pinches you. And it has, so this is what sucks, okay? Like, one of the things I've been sort of complaining about the new creatures is they have more than one attack method. Used to be it either pinched you or it had venom. Oh no, that's not enough. Now it pinches you and has venom. So like, it didn't used to be the power of the pinch, you know, it just had venom. But this guy pinches hard and injects venom at the same time, so there's double pain. There's the pain from the hard pinch. You could see he's got these pretty juicy muscles. I mean, this guy's got better muscles than that alien did. There's probably more bone structure in there too. And he's got claws, but them's not just claws, they're in venom injectors because pinching wasn't enough. So this guy is the Texas toe biter. He will pinch you. The pinch will hurt. Then he injects venom while he's pinching you. And then the story is the venom will cause the skin, like the flesh, to break down into a liquid. And then so if he had, like, say, another insect, he would inject the venom. The inside of the insect would break down into a slurry, and then he would siphon out the slurry. So it's not enough that the venom would kill it. It now makes it into a slurry. Like, okay, so we have a 3 for here. You know, we got the pinch, we got the venom, and we got the liquefaction. It used to be just one animal each had that, but now we have 3 in one. And it's pretty big. They get up to about 4.5 inches. They are all over the world. So there's no more, oh, it's some rare creature in Africa. No, this is everywhere, including Texas. There's different sizes of these. There's hundreds of species of these. And they're also called the giant water bug, as you see. So I did kind of hear about giant water bugs like a month or 2 ago, but I don't remember them pinching you with their venom because that's kind of more of a thing. And I didn't remember them being in every freaking state and country in the world. They are global. They're every continent. Okay. And if that's not bad enough, okay, you think it's a water bug, right? So it's at the water. Oh no, because they have wings, so they can fly. They can fly, so you can find them far away from the water also. So you gotta keep an eye out. The only saving grace is they said that they're usually not that aggressive, and you kind of have to at least harass them. Like, they don't just run up and pinch you for no reason. But see, they grabbed this guy, and if you put your finger here, he would pinch you. So, you know, I'm kind of not really liking all these icky bugs coming. So we have the Texas toe biter, otherwise known as the giant water bug. So you will feel immediate pain and some swelling. They're saying it won't kill you, but you will get immediate pain and swelling. Oh, there's another weird thing. Just as, you know, a hat tip to the the new world order. These things are edible. They're edible and they're eaten in many countries. And they're pretty big, so at least you get more than a bite, I guess. I didn't really look into it, but they do they do eat these, and of course in large quantities apparently. So yeah. This one I feel like has many, the old creatures were boring, so they're stacking more into one bug now. And everything has wings anymore. Is there any bugs that don't have wings? Ugh. Next thing you know, sow bugs will have wings. All right, so there's that guy. All right. Texas chupacabra. Yeah. Going to eat dinner. Sorry. Yeah, the next insect is no more fun. But then after that, we'll be out of the yuckies, I think. I think we're out of the yuckies. Dog and a fox mated. There's a dog fox. A dog fox. I don't think I remember there being a dog fox before. I think that might be kind of new. Let's see. My friend who sees the Bible changes. Is excited about meeting everyone at the upcoming Ancient Aliens conference. She says, a Christian who believes in aliens on other planets. So, that thing has always been sort of a thing because the priests will say that if you believe anything out of what's said in the church, then you're like a devil worshiper. But then if you actually look at the Bible, it doesn't say there's not other planets. I mean, it doesn't say that this is the only place God created. At no place does the idea of planets and aliens actually conflict with the Bible. And especially with the changes, if you look in the early history of Earth in the Bible, there's stuff, there's creatures that show up, angels, Nephilim, all this stuff. Where did they come from? So there's no reason to say that the whole ancient aliens thing goes against the Bible. At least not with the current Bible. It always was weird that they had to make enemies out of everybody. Yeah, so what Sapioid just said, basically. He said the same thing what I just said about what's in the Bible. I live in Texas, and what I've always known to be a water bug is a huge roach. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of, I thought the water bugs were those guys that they were like thin, kind of like they had the long legs and they could walk on the water. And that was the water bugs. That's the only ones I really knew as water bugs around here. Mongolian wolf, super derpy wolf. Let's see. Mongolian wolf. I think we've had those on. There's a whole bunch of kinds of wolves now. Derpy wolf. It's a good thing Dark Wolf's Den's not on here. They definitely do seem to be a little more puppy-like or something. Okay, well, these aren't super derpy, but they're more doggy looking, I would say, but Mongolian wolf. There used to just be wolves. Now there's all these different kinds of wolves. Oh, here's Himalayan wolves. Now these look a little more derpy. They're kind of skinny. You think they'd be like puffy and fat because Mongolia, you think it'd be cold. These are like half wolf, half coyotes or something. They're like stringy. They don't have as much fur and they got really long legs. Like, yeah, the legs have no fur. Well, I mean, not no fur, but the fur is really short on the legs, and then there's like this. It looks like the fur is really coarse, too. Huh. I have not seen the Himalayan wolves yet. Okay, what one is that one? Oh, that's also Himalayan. Maybe they are seasonal. He looks more puffy there. So maybe they get their giant puffs in the winter. That's a wolf. I don't know. See, he looks so doggy and there's not much fur. I mean, I'm used to seeing wolves as like really puffy. You know, a little more like that. I also just don't remember him having so much like white underneath and this more doggy. They used to have more, they just didn't have so much white underneath, I guess is what I'm saying. For me, anyways. Okay, so this creature, somebody noticed this one. I'm kind of guessing this person's in Japan, but this is like this weird Japanese cricket thingy. But what's interesting about this one, okay, Prosopagrilicris japonica, I think is how it is. Wait, where did it go? Yeah, looks like a cricket, but it spins silk. So this thing is a cricket, but it spins silk like a silkworm, but it has those weird cricket wings. Being nocturnal, they are seldom known among the public. They have no singing organ. They just look like a cricket. They have huge antennas, and they can spin silk. So how come, you know, they don't use those for silk? Well, maybe because they just showed up in the timeline, and that's coming later. Some of these, they look really weird. Let me see if I can find one of them. So they have a neat look to them. Hidden under there was this instead of having a folded wing like the new wings of the crickets around here, they have this kind of four-piece wing. But you can see they look fairly normal otherwise. So the new crickets are not hiding their wings like the old crickets because the old crickets didn't used to have wings. All right, so that one showed up, but then this one, ugh. This is the one. This is another one that just... I just put that one in. I think I just put it in because so many insects showed up and then somebody else is like, oh, here's another insect. I'm like, nah, I already have 2 for this week. Let me find it. So there's this thing called turtle leeches. They're leeches that go on turtles. But here's the thing. They go on the shell. They're like these, ew, they're so icky. Let me see if I can find one that, apparently they're also boots, but, so the one I saw that was making the rounds was like this, it was like a leech, but it was flat. But it went on the shell. It didn't, you would think it would go on the skin part. So, like, apparently shells ain't enough to keep off leeches anymore. There's one of them little goobers. It just got distracted. I'm like, what's that? Okay. Ah, it's so tiny. I wonder if they're new. I can't find good images of it. All right, let's see. Visit. Turtle leech out of stock. Found in North America. All right, so it's Placopdella parasitica. Let me see if I can find that. Is an excellent parrot. It performs motherly and fatherly duties simultaneously. It is a hermaphrodite. See, even insects used to just drop their eggs and bail, but now they're like good parents and stuff. All right. Let's try again here. Ew. All right. I know I saw some. Ew. All right. To Google. In the New World Order, only Google has good photos, apparently. Okay, there's one on a shell. See, he sucked right onto the shell. So what is he, like, grinding through the shell? Like, why not just go under the shell? I mean, I don't know if I want to leech under a shell either, but it's better than being able to grind through a shell. You ever heard of this business? Alright, so I think that's a big turtle, and that's a leech right there. Well, like, why are all these photos suck so bad? Maybe it's, like, new in town, because we don't get any good photos. Blink. Okay, there's that one. That kind of shows it. See, it's right on the shell. That's ridiculous. Here's another one. There's the edge of the shell, and then the leech. Alright, I'm not sure what's going on with that one. Another leech on the shell. I mean, the actual turtle's right there, and it goes there. Another one. They also had, like, the ones I was seeing were a little longer. And they had, like, they really looked like a piece of turtle on the top. Like, they were really well hidden. So they looked like little strips of turtle flopping around. So that made it look even more creepy. See, those are under the shell. So I've never heard... See, look at that. Look at that. You could barely see it on there. You know, I know people have turtles. Never even heard of the risks of them getting turtle leeches. It's just crazy. Okay, so that was a new one for me. So these things, like, the ones I saw were longer, really flat. It's kind of like this one, but longer and a little narrower. And then they flop like this. They don't go like normal worms. They're more like stiff. So, that was the other thing that stunned me. I think it was on, like, the WTF subreddit. What is Sedona like overall? You know, I went through Sedona once. I really was just tired and I wanted to get home, so I didn't stop. But it had a good energy. That was many years ago. I felt like the energy was nice, though. And it looked pretty there. "15 years ago, that small red beetle from China appeared. Now it's common bug. And probably always has been." So, you know, there's definitely been some weird bugs that have showed up here. One of them looks like, I think it is actually some kind of scarab beetle. It's green, and it has that iridescent back. And there didn't used to be iridescent bugs here. That was, like, stuff from Africa. But we do have iridescent, like, really rainbow iridescent bugs. "I predict they'll prove Egyptians brought corn from here to the Mediterranean, hence why the wheat is turning to corn." Ah, could be. Or maybe because it's the gluten-free business is infecting the Bible. And we're going to corn. Corn actually makes more sense to me as a food than wheat, because wheat you have to plant like all these acres and then you just get these tiny little seeds. Now when you plant corn, you got a big chunk of something you can really nosh on. You know, if somebody gives you a sprig of wheat, you're like, man, give it to the horse. But if somebody gives you a corn cob with corn on it, you're like loving life, you know. And now they got that weird creepy corn smut that you can eat that looks all hideous but supposed to be delicious. You live in northern Arizona and don't know what a flatlander is. It's a tourist from Phoenix, Mesa, Apache Junction, or Tucson. Okay, so I guess northern Arizona is not flat. So if you're a flatlander, you're from southern Arizona. Probably going to the north to escape the heat would be my assumption. Corn is not nutritious. Well, wheat isn't either, though. So, you know. I don't know. It might be more nutritious than wheat, especially like the whole kernel. Corn isn't digestible. It literally goes right through us, unless you grind it up or you sprout it. If you get the corn and like soak it, basically soak it so that it doesn't have the phytic acid. So if you look at the ancients, and ancients meaning like 3 generations ago, they would get the corn and they'd soak it. I forgot how long, but it's usually like 12 hours or somewhere around there is how long you soak it. And then that causes the phytic acid to break down, and phytase is created by the kernel, and it causes a nutritional change inside the seed that basically allows us to digest more of the nutrients that's in there. And that's what used to be done. And it's interesting because I used to see that in the books when I was a kid. My mom's old recipe books would say soak the grains overnight. All the grains had to get soaked because they're full of phytic acid, and phytic acid binds with nutrients and makes it indigestible. So if you eat a lot of phytic acid, it actually is an anti-nutrient in that it blocks nutrient uptake even from other foods. So they used to always soak these to make sure that you're getting the nutrition out of them. And these days, almost nobody knows that you're supposed to do that. So the young kids are mostly under the impression that it cuts down cooking time. Well, why the heck would you spend 12 hours soaking somebody to cut down the cooking time by 2 minutes? That's not, a reasonable thing to do. But that's not why they used to do it. Yes, it does cut down cooking time by a small amount, but the reason they did it was to unlock the nutrients. And if you don't do that, then, and especially in those days, because people would eat a lot of this material, they really had to make sure they were getting the nutrients out of it. So if you prepare it properly, soak it, and like that, it becomes much more nutrient dense. But even so, I would still say that corn, wheat, and all those simple carbohydrate types foods, they are basically because they became such a high population density that you could no longer just eat meat and vegetables. So I think that's also part of it. You're basically making do. So they were making do with what they could get and carbohydrates that they could obtain. But at the same time, they were much more knowledgeable about getting the nutrients out of those carbohydrates. We don't even have that now. My grandpa had a corn farm in Outer Fond du Lac. So that's like by Ripon, right? Now I'm wondering if you're one of the backstage lounge people from the show, from Dark Wolf's Den show, because a lot of them are from the Ripon area. So you know what we call the Arizonians. Here, you might call the southern people flatlanders, but we call the Arizonians zonies. He used to say and it's kind of really like the pot calling the kettle black, because California is making fun of Arizona for being zoned out, like, oh yeah, California, we're not weird at all. Maybe the Mexican alien had cartilages instead of bones inside the hands. I mean, if you just had cartilage, then where's the link? Even dense cartilage will show in the x-ray to some extent. But also, if you have a bump in the middle of the arm, as if there is a bone joint there would be no reason to have that bump without the joint. So, I'm not saying it's impossible, everything's possible, but the likelihood of there being the exact shape of a bone joint without a bone, I would say, is pretty tiny. And the likelihood of this being a fraud in comparison to the likelihood of that, I would say the fraud likelihood is like way, 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 way bigger, especially considering how absolutely carved that thing looks. But, you know, again, like I said, we might come back to this and find that in another timeline, you know, it looks much more realistic. So oh yeah, yeah, Nachiketa goes to the backstage sometimes. You know, he's not there a lot, so that's in, maybe I just don't go there at the right time, but I rarely see Nachiketa back there. So for those who have no idea what we're talking about, rippandrabbithole.com is the website for a radio station that Dark Wolf's Den show plays on, and there's a slot there that says Backstage Lounge, and if you click on that, then there's like this open chat room. Now sometimes nobody's there, or who knows what they'll be talking about, and there is a lot of like Republican yakking, so I kind of don't go there as much on those days, but Mexican aliens were plaster. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, like, that guy, you know, the other thing about it is it looks a lot like E.T. Phone Home. You know, it's like little, and it has the elongated head, and then the fingers. Ripping rabbit hole, not crabbit hole. Take out that C. I don't know. Ripping crabbit hole does sound kind of hilarious, though. I'm sure it's just a typo, but I had to mention it. Yeah, E.T. home phone alien. That's exactly it. Okay, let's see. All right, so we got those yucky things because, you know, we have to have yucky things on the show. All right, I'm just going to talk about this totally non-Mandela thing just because it's just bugging me. And again, I don't know what's going on, or is it different timelines or what, but like we've talked a lot about how like you'll see an article in the newspaper and the headline has very little to do with what's actually in there. It's like a total misrepresentation. So lately there's been this thing about Russell Brand, and I just wanted to point out that some places have made it very clear that this supposed phone text message that he supposedly sent somebody who's accusing him of a certain thing 15 years later when there's no actual charges, and he's been demonetized and everything over it, even though he didn't do anything on his show to warrant it or anything, has gotten to a new level. Okay, so if you go to this guy, the Umbrella guy, who usually just does gossip and, you know, like celebrity gossip, but this is pretty good because one thing about the Umbrella guy is that he's really smart, okay? I mean, unless someone else came up with this, but whatever. So he basically took the image of this so-called text message that they're saying that Russell Brand sent, and he looked at it, and it's quite obviously a cut and paste job because, like, here the font is one way, and then here it's all blurry, and you can see a cut line here. You can literally see where they cut and paste it. So maybe this is on the phone somewhere, but somewhere else, and they cut it, like they basically cut it together. Now, why do that unless it didn't look incriminating enough in the original form? So you kind of, this is mainstream media making a story, okay? So, and then when you see how they reacted to the story, it's pretty obvious that this is a frame job. Now, nobody's saying that Russell Brand wasn't a jerk before. Even he admits he was a giant jerk. But apparently they don't have enough to really get him in trouble, so they've kind of cobbled this together. So they've cut and pasted, and you can see this is a different, like a whole different font here. And then they're basically the best that it seems likely that what actually happened was kind of a Julian Assange level situation where when you're doing the wild thing, the man is expected to keep the cover on the schlong. And if they don't, in some places, this can be called the R word. If you even know everything else was consensual, but you did not use proper protection. And it sounds like that may have been what happened, and she was pissed, and he said sorry. Similar to the Julian Assange thing. But they're calling it the R word, the R word that rhymes with tape and starts with an R, which apparently you can't say on YouTube anymore. So now it's the R word, okay? So, all right. So I'm not going to use that word, shy away from that word. But I just want to say that there are allegations on some weird mainstream media TV show or something. And that's all there is. There's no charges. There's no arrest. There's not even any criminal charges against him. But it looks like it's obviously cut and pasted. Let's see. There's another part to it, I think. So if you go back, and then see, he blotted out certain words because, again, YouTube would freak out. These red lines are his blot outs because you can't have it. But there's all, see, now each one of these is supposed to have a date. Like when you post something and you respond, each one will have the date. But if you go back and look at the whole thing, some of the entries are also missing their dates. So it's like they cut and pasted some stuff in, but they left the date off. So there's some really fishy about the whole thing. I wouldn't trust it. Okay, I'm not saying that Russell Brand is innocent, but those who thought that he was a shill for the deep state, this is evidence against it because they're coming against him full force. Whatever he may be, I don't think he's a shill for the deep state unless they're really playing the long game, because not only did this accusation that's obviously cut and pasted here, and this is the main accusation, and other ones were that he dated a 16-year-old and was a jerk, apparently, is another one. Well, 16-year-old is the age of consent in the UK, so they don't have really anything on him there. But not only does this accusations come out, but apparently YouTube immediately demonetized his entire show. And, he makes almost all of his money on social media now. So getting demonetized across all your platforms does kick you in the pocketbook when that's your main source of income, because he doesn't do regular media anymore. He has been coming on really strong against the whole censorship control thing, and so a lot of people think that's why they're going after him. So apparently not only did YouTube demonetize him over, nothing he did on his actual show, but behavior from 15 years ago, that's probably mostly lies. But they also, apparently, the United Kingdom has sent out letters to every social media platform he's on saying that they should look at his bad behavior and demonetize him. So here is the letter. So Rumble blabbed, okay, and this is the letter that Rumble got. I am writing you concerning the serious allegations against Russell Brand in the context of his being a content provider on Rumble with more than 1.4 million followers, blah, blah, blah. And they're basically saying, we would be grateful if you could confirm whether Mr. Brand is able to monetize his content, including his videos. What is it any of your business if he's able to monetize his content on Rumble? And he hasn't been charged with anything. There are absolutely no police charges. Nothing has been verified. It's just rumors. They're coming after him, trying to remove all of his income. And this is the UK government, and it's Dame Caroline Dinanagi, DBMP, a chair culture, media, and sports committee. But apparently this is some kind of UK representative. So they sent a letter to Rumble. Of course, Rumble said, go pound sand. They, in so many words. And this is Rumble. And see, this is Rumble on Twitter. This is their verified location. So, probably not lying, especially because TikTok apparently also got one similarly, and TikTok said that Russell Brand does not have monetized content on TikTok already. So they just said, no, he doesn't have it. So TikTok gets to dodge the bullet. They don't have to make a decision because it's not monetized already. But this is like next level crazy town, you know, like we don't even know if he did anything other than Julian Assange level stuff, you know, and they're trying to like remove all of his income. So it's pretty UK people, you know, I just wanted to show that because I've seen lately that people are being accused of stuff and they're basically, you take something and you put the worst possible spin on it. Technically correct. Like a lot of people think Julian Assange was arrested because of the R word when in the country he was in, he didn't use, you know, the condom, and that is considered the R word in that country, even though the whole thing was actually consensual. So people think he's this violent, you know, R word person, and that's completely inaccurate. But when they hear that, they go, well, he deserves to be in prison then. He, you know, committed the R, and that is not accurate. So be very careful because they're basically weaponizing any little thing you did. And I'm not saying this is totally little, but it is not the R word, you know, it is not. So they're basically saying, you know, they show something that kind of hints at something, and then they plaster a bunch of other things that still lead you down that garden path, and then everybody thinks he did the R word. But they never come out and say that, do they? So they have plausible deniability. They're like, well, we can't help it if you came to that conclusion. We never actually said that. And I'm seeing that with a lot of people. Like, you don't know the details, but you hear this rumor and you're thinking the worst. And it's just, you got to be really careful right now. Anybody they don't like, they're basically spinning every little thing. And I don't know if it's that men are really have a bad habit of not doing a certain thing that they're supposed to do, but that does not make it the R word. So you guys be careful there. If they ever catch you with that, you will be accused of the R word, looks like. So, all right, so back to Mandelas, which are way more fun. You know, I'm just hoping that through all this, all the people who are truly innocent, and I can't swear that he is innocent of everything. I mean, he admits he was a giant jerk. So maybe this is karma coming back. But I do hope that through everything, the just thing comes forward. And if he is truly innocent, you know, maybe in the end, he'll end up getting better known and, you know, more power through this. I mean, sometimes negative attention is better than no attention. And sometimes when they try to cancel somebody, it backfires badly. So, you know, just because he's going through this doesn't mean it's the end. But, the British don't even have a constitution. Yeah. You know, so a lot of these arguments, what are the genders? Like, the more I've just looking at, I'm like, I'm not going to take a side. Who the hell cares? Be whatever gender you want. You know, I mean, like, I think they've redefined male and female. It used to be a biological thing. Now they're calling it, now it's basically a psychological thing. Okay, so you redefine the word. So people that are old or use the word, they're using the old definition. People are young, they're using it or using the new definition. And then they fight. Well, just admit you're using definitions, and why even bother fighting about it? If people want to do their crazy stuff, fine. I'm against the surgeries for young kids, certainly, but the rest of the stuff I'm not wasting my time arguing about. It's like that whole knee thing that some people wanted to get on the knee before the NFL teams plays, and I'm like, why should I care? Why? I can't believe people are arguing over it. It's like, it's just a tiny little thing. I mean, like, I think that's how I am nowadays. It's like, I don't even know why we're arguing over this stuff. It's like when I was a kid in kindergarten and, you know, my brother would be like, she's touching me. No, he's touching me. I mean, like, the thing itself is not worth arguing about. Yeah, I mean, I agree that they can't. I agree that kids should not be pushed into any gender at any, you know, until they're much older, and that they shouldn't be able to. The problem is pushing anything on them. So, like, okay, you don't have to push straightness on them, but don't push gayness on them. Just don't push anything on them. Just let them figure it out. And so I'm against all of that. Like if some kid that's a boy wants to put on makeup, don't go, well, are you a girl? Are you a girl? Are you a girl? No, he's a kid that thinks that that is a pretty color. So it doesn't mean anything usually. Don't make it into more than it is. So I am against that. But am I going to argue over what's a gender? No. It's just a definition change to me. Some of the rest of it bugs me. But I think we're going to have to let go. Pick your battles, people. Pick your battles. I mean, I'm not going to argue over every little thing. I'm just going to argue over the important ones. And the definition of this word and its change is not the battle I'm going to pick. I remember when the future looked cool. It was this colorful, fantastic realm of possibilities. I think it still is. It is still every bit of that. I mean, there's so much good that could come out of this. I think everything that comes out has a good side and a bad side. So, like this whole thing with the genders, we probably really do need to redefine all that stuff. It's just not so simple. Okay, but I don't think we should be, doing really poor quality surgeries on children. Okay, that's the bad side. But down the middle, between the two sides, there is often a pretty good path. And I think that's the path we have to shoot for. Not too much over there, not too much over there. Down the middle. Oh, yeah, I saw that thing, Chloe. That was basically stupid cops. So some kid was being manipulated to do inappropriate things, but she was rather young. Daddy called the cops, and the cops yelled at the kid, not at the adult. I think cops aren't social workers. They're not experts at this. That's what they do. They just yell at people. Don't do that. So there's the kids, so they yell, don't do that. And it's... They only have a hammer, so all they see is a nail. It's sad, but they are not, especially, I don't think it was like a big city even, so they don't have much training. And they really need to have way more training. I'm not really surprised that happened. I mean, what else do cops do but arrest people and finger wag everybody else? So they basically just did what they always do. The changes for young females are permanent. Better to wait. Yeah, I agree with that. And the changes for the young males are permanent also. You are not getting that thing back that you cut off. Not until we get much better ability to grow parts in a vat, which I do think is coming. So I'm hoping that, these people that change their mind will be able to undo it down the line. I mean, I want to say it's permanent, but if our tech gets much better, then that might help. Sandy Diva and Brian Stavely were talking about how clean and clear the river's now in the Northeast. Same here in the port of LA and Long Beach, like a brand new world. Interesting, because of course some of the dogma on TV is all worse, finger, wag, you're ruining the world. But yet, again, we do see the opposite a lot of stuff. They say that something's going extinct, but we see more than ever of them. All bugs are going extinct. I see all these new species. And it's kind of interesting that Stavely had something really positive on, because that's not his top forte in the timeline I was on. So that's cool too, that it was him that brought it forward. Yeah, so I mean, don't miss the forest through the trees. There's definitely some stuff that I don't advocate for, but that doesn't mean that we're going to go only in that route. There's stuff that's going to happen, and then it's going to move aside. And we're starting to see some of the countries that were pushing the surgeries are starting to go, wait a minute. So there's things to be learned in all the mistakes too. The smart cities. I mean, I could totally see that there could be some really neat things about smart cities. I don't know if I'm going to want to live under that kind of surveillance and stuff. But if the government is held to task for abuses and is curtailed a little bit, smart cities could be, you know, not bad. I mean, there's always going to be give and take, right? But I don't know if I want to live in one, but I might not mind visiting. There's definitely a path there. You can see the path. So I don't want to assume everything's going to be the worst all the time. You know, I notice that I always go, oh, the government's corrupt, and all of this is always bad, and all of this is always bad. But the truth is usually not that extreme. We see time and again that, you know, the worst path is not realized. The best path hasn't been realized, but the worst path hasn't been realized. So maybe I need to start looking for the good path a little bit more. Maybe I will see more of the good path and move in that direction. Extension in Bible now. Oh, interesting. I don't see. Some of these I'm just like, I have to take your word for it because I'm not enough of a Bible expert to really say for some of the smaller stuff. Like there are things that I kind of like little pithy sayings I had memorized, and those I know that if they change. But could I tell you that there was never the word extinction in the entire Bible? No, there's no way I could do that. Right, for the elders, smart cities could be a sweet deal, or a prison, or somewhere in between. You know, like it could have bad stuff and good stuff. My first Emmy, Aquasaurs, showed up in Burning Man mud. I'm lost. I don't. Those aren't real right now, right? Yeah, I'm lost on the Aquasaurs. Okay, so let's see. We got 40 minutes left. I've not gotten that far, have I? Okay, the thumbnail is the glass octopus. I better get that one in. I don't think I've had these on before. See-through creatures are everywhere. That one was just such an awesome image. I think somebody brought that one up. Oh, you know what? Somebody brought that one up 2 weeks ago, and I have it written down on my piece of paper at home who that was, and now I apologize because I didn't copy it over here, and then I just remembered it in my head, so I don't have the person who told me about these. But they're awesome possum. And, you know, they have, like, I don't know what's going on, but they say it's see-through, but they have these little speckles in the webbing. But then you don't always see the speckles. And then this one, I don't see any speckles. They're supposed to be rare, but I have a feeling they're going to get less rare. So we used to just have that one fish with the see-through front, but now we have this thing. There are still so many things we don't know. Seamounts are underwater mountains formed by volcanic activity. These things are these seamounts, these big lumps, close enough, are what's kind of showing up, and they get higher and higher, and then they finally poke above the water and make an island. Now that sounds like it should take millennia, but apparently it only takes a couple years in Mandela land. The elusive glass octopus, Vitrilodonella richardi. These species are known for being mostly transparent, save for its optic nerve, eyeballs, and digestive tract. You know, I used to I couldn't imagine a creature being see-through. You know, like the blood used to be all red, so they couldn't have that, because how is the hemoglobin going to travel? So the universe created creatures that didn't have hemoglobin, red blood. And, like, I still can't, you know, I'd look at it and go, how is that, you know, have no pigment, not the muscles, nothing, but there it is. Then why does the eye have to have pigment then? I mean, I guess you have to block the light coming from the back, I guess. The average swimmer will not encounter these while swimming. They live in the dark oceans 3,000 feet below. For now, but I have a feeling that we will see that they'll start to become more common. It has the ability to do camouflage using special cells called chromatophores. The yellow dots seen in the... okay, the yellow dots are chromatophores. All right, so... the yellow dots are chromatophores. So what does these chromatophores do? Are they like they change the color? If they change the color, why do I only see them as yellow? All right, so there it is. That's a very nice image. All right, so there's the chromatophores. All right, so what's a chromatophore? Are pigment-containing cells found in a wide range of animals. They are responsible for adjusting body coloration. The center of each chromatophore contains an elastic sac full of pigment, which may be colored black, brown, orange, red, or yellow. All right, well, how do we get all them weird blues and greens then if... provide dynamic camouflage in various kinds of communication, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so they just show it with the see-through with the speckles, but so the story now is that this thing changes colors along with these chromatophore things. But no images of them changing colors, so how do they know those are chromatophores? I mean, I guess maybe they got a corpse and looked at the cells and recognized them or something, but it's interesting that there's no images of them doing their color changing game. All right, so there's that. Let's see what else we got. There was no pineal gland in our brains in the 1990s. Agreed, Joe Blower. Maybe we do come from the same timeline or neighborhood. If you don't remember, if you remember Arctica, then you came from my neck of the universe of the timelines. Fairy shrimp, brine shrimp. I do remember brine shrimp. I had brine shrimp when I was a kid. But I did not have the triops. That showed up, what, last year? Those triops showed up in the desert in a freak rainstorm. They have 3 eyes, because that's not weird at all. You just forgot. Yeah, the triops. We've had those on, those triops. Okay, so I just got a feeling that I should look at Star Wars again, and I looked, and I'm like, what? All right, so Stormtroopers. I've already said I don't remember this giant insectoid mouth thing down here on them. So the helmets, they had a big helmet head, and it came down like that. They didn't have these giant ventilators. Like, I don't know what is about air and breathing in this timeline that we're so obsessed that even showed up in the old Star Wars, but so I don't remember that, but that's old. But okay, what's new? I don't remember this weird flat stuff on the lower forearms, and you'll see you'll see in a minute there's vents. They've now got like little chest indentations. I'm calling them chesticles or something. I don't know. That's new. And then in some of the scenes they have this orange shoulder thing, and they're calling it a paltron, I guess is a term for shoulder thingies. I don't know. So, like, that's one. Okay, there's just so many, like, basically these stormtroopers are diversifying just like the animals are. There's one kind of wolf, 6 kind of wolf. One kind of stormtrooper, 6 kinds of stormtroopers, or whatever. There's an endless bunch of stormtroopers now. And I'm like, well, what? Okay, so let's see. That was 158. Let's see. Did I kill the sound? Let me kill the sound. Okay, so you see they've got these orange things. They just look like giant mouse pads. Like, what the hell, man? This is so cheesy. Okay. I feel like this whole respirator thing has gotten more extreme because I don't remember it being in the back like that. I just remember it in the front, and now it goes all the way around. So I remember the helmets being more like this, not like all flat and then flaring out at the bottom like he's got like a giant neck tumor or neck flab or something. So that looks different to me. And that's the, okay, let's see. I have some spots I'm going to try to go to. All right, and this is Lucasfilm's speakers, so these are legit. And these are the earlier ones. There, okay. So you can see these straight things here. I also don't remember these weird knee things. So this is that part where Han and Luke dress up as stormtroopers when they were. All right, it's not really. You know, actually, I don't remember that crap either. What the hell is that? That's so cheesy. I don't remember that. Oh my god, they're totally different. Well, what's this? There's vents in the back of the helmets? What the hell? That was not on there. Oh my god. Oh my god. All right, so all right, let me just go. Well, that's weird. I think these are just for the sand guys, but I don't remember that. Oh, see, look, there's those vents. Oh my, that was not on there. This is like, this is insane. All right. I don't think this was on there last time I looked either. There, these vents weren't, and that wasn't there. And these neck bumps on the back weren't there. They're really extreme now. Okay. Another thing is I don't remember there being the backpacks. This is one of the earlier movies when they were on Tatooine. These giant backpack things apparently are in a bunch of scenes now. I don't remember these giant backpack things, and they look totally cheesy. See, they're in that scene with the Politrons, the orange Politrons. These are the original, the first 3 movies they made, okay? I'm not going to comment on later movies because I didn't know those well. But these ones I saw, there was no scenes like that. And then like this weird insect mouth thing, that was not there last time. And what are these dark things here? They were all white, okay? No, they didn't have orange Paltrons backpack. And you can see the vent lines here. Right here. This is like so wrong. All right, so there's that. I showed the backpacks. All right, something at 532 I wanted to see. Okay, this one. So the Endor guys, I remember them when they were on Endor. I just remember those being stormtroopers, okay? But now they have this whole specialized... Okay, there's the vents on the back, so I guess that's an all... And this, they have a whole different headset now, and I'm trying to think when... I think I might have seen these a few months ago a little bit, so it might not be a fresh change, but I just realized at some point they have a whole different contraption on their head now. Like, they have this weird visor thing, and that was just not... Whoops, went a little too far. Really don't get much time to... Okay, there, that's perfect. So they're this now. They're not that other thing. Really, like ears? They used to be normal stormtroopers, but they have their own variant now. So I don't know. Maybe Star Trek's getting more money backwards in time. But there you go. I don't remember those. Okay, so the Endor guys have their own stuff. And now we talked before about the stormtroopers that had the red, but I think that they've upgraded them. Like the timelines have upgraded them. First of all, I don't remember any white guys that had, like, I don't know what's going on here. The weird white backpacks. These are stormtroopers from the early movies. I don't know. They've got, like, plastic shrouds. They've got backpacks. They've got little skirts. Like, what? What? They were just stormtroopers. Okay. I got kind of worked up here. All right. Now, let me get to the 415 one. All right, that was the one. All right. Oh, 501. That was the red guys. Okay. The red guys have gotten more extreme. Because now they look like that. The red ones. And I'm like, that's totally different. I feel like, can you imagine you can't even move your head? That's not an effective way to be a stormtrooper. And you didn't used to be able to see like the human in there before. And the helmet was way more like the other stormtroopers, but now that's them. And this is the first 3 movies they did. Yeah, I never even got out of the first 3 movies. The only, the reason I was looking to start with is because I was looking for Darth Vader. And, there's one other thing I haven't mentioned. Let me see if I can find one that shows it. All right, Darth Vader. I don't think that's him. I'll have to do a separate one, but... All right, hold on. Let me just shrink it. I hope you're seeing what I'm seeing. So those are just in the movies, okay? I mean, those are all scenes from the movies. Nope, these are supposed to be how they always were. There is no older version. And so, like, this thing I'm watching here, they're going through explaining the original development of those. They're not saying that they were redone. They're saying we wanted it like this, and we wanted those guys to look more for the sand, and blah 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 blah. So these people supposedly were involved in the development of these creatures. So there is no upgrade thing. I mean, they're telling the original story of what happened. That's the thing that's tricky about these, is that they upgraded a few things and it was special effects. And now anytime somebody sees a change, they're like, oh, it must be an upgrade. But it just hides more of the weird. It looks more like the Scream. And the Scream does not look like the Scream. That's the other thing. And the Juggernaut, it does look like the Juggernaut. You're right, it does look like the Juggernaut. It's unfunctional, yeah. But they didn't, I watched it for years and years. I mean, at least 10 or 15 years. I would rewatch the same ones over and over. There were never any other versions. They didn't release all these versions. I mean, there was just the one for years and years. And that one's gone. You will never find that version again, or any images from that version, because according to these people on this interview, they were designed like that from the start. And those are people who worked with Lucas in the development of the show. So that's the issue there. And I mean, you could say it's all a giant psyop, but I've seen like stuff in my house magically change. So I tend to just assume it's the Mandela and not a giant psyop for Star Wars. I mean, if South America can move, then the mask in a movie can change, It just seems like the most likely explanation if you accept that the Mandela is a thing. Well, the reason I was actually even covering this is because I just wanted to look at Darth Vader. And I saw changes in him, and I'm like, well, if there's changes in Darth, then are there changes in the stormtroopers? And the answer is yes. Yes, there were changes I ended up starting with the stormtroopers, but it was actually Darth. There have been a lot of changes with Darth. Let me see if I can find when something changes, then you can't find an image that shows the thing. I noticed that very much. It's like, I'm scrolling, and I can't find one image that really clearly shows it. Okay, let me try Google. And one of the things I do is I'll go to the toy first to look for changes in the toy, because they're a little bit more obvious. I think that this is one of the toys where I'm like, wait a minute, there's something on there I don't remember. Now, if I can just find, yeah, that shows it pretty good. So I said before I didn't remember these pleated slacks, and I do remember that last time I looked. I didn't remember the pleated slacks. Now, the pleated slacks will make a little bit, then the red eyes are more obvious. That's an old one, though. But I can't, like, looking. Can I please see an image of the whole Darth Vader? Yeah, I remember when I was looking to show the gray strips up here had changed, and I couldn't find any images of the gray strips. But now there's a million images of the gray strips. But now I can't find the lower body, which is what I need. And I just saw this, like, yesterday. Mandela knows what I want to see. Look, you can't see it, and there is all. Oh my God, it's all grayed out. Okay, what? That shows it pretty good, though. Let's see. Newsflash, it's something we talked about before. Okay. I can't find it in the movies, but it's in the movies, okay? Just trust me on this one. But it's basically, and I think this is on set. This is an image from on set, so this is how he would look. It's this. Darth has like this codpiece thing. And it's like, and it has this weird strip thing on it. And I'm like, what? No. That's so wrong. He doesn't have a cod piece, okay? And this business just keeps growing, and he's going to be like Christmas tree pretty soon, because there's this, when this first showed up, there was just a couple of lights, and then I noticed green ones showed up lately. There didn't used to be green lights. There was red lights, and there was white, but there wasn't green. So green is new. Apparently there's some blue. I think there was a blue one last time. And there's some yellow things here. I mean, like, he is a Christmas tree now, okay? And this is an old change that this is silver, and these silver strips, and then the pleated ones was last time. But the cod piece, I don't remember the cod piece. I totally do not remember. You know, the other thing is it looks like this part is gray and this part is black. I'm wondering if his facial mask is turning gray, because those don't look like the same color as before. Like, this doesn't look like the same color as this. So, keep an eye on that, because I'm wondering if he's going to have, like, a black head and a gray snout, whatever that thing is. Is that... you could blame it on lighting, but it really doesn't... It looks like this is the same color as this. So, I'm just spotting that now. Let's see. Kind of looks like it in there, too. Darth, are you turning gray? It looks like a different color there. Kinda. Oh, I think it is turning gray. So that'll be another change. Ooh, it looks gray in that one. Oh my, he looks so weird. It looks so weird. It looks so wrong that this is gray and this is black. That looks like so wrong. That is so wrong. But it looks like that's what's happening. Oh my God, I just noticed that right now. All right, now that one's... Oh, it looks gray in there. It is. It's happening. It's happening. Ooh, what's all this business? All right. Let me see if I can get the original. It looks like there's a whole nother vent system triangle down there. I don't remember happening either. So, you know, if you look at the original toys that were released, even those toys will match all of these images that I'm showing you. So if they had redone it, the original toys would not have been redone. The release, you know, if you look at collector toys of Star Wars from 1970s and stuff, they all show these versions of these characters. See, this triangle thing down here, I don't remember that. This looks a little more pleated. It's very insectoid, isn't it? Oh, you know the other thing I'm noticing? I'm just putting it together. These gray strips on the upper chest are way bigger. So when this first came out and they had gray, it was gray, black, evenly. But now we see only 2 of the blacks are large and then the grays are dominating. So the gray strips come in. That's not the real guy. And then they spread. And that's why I'm seeing it so much better, because these are way bigger. So that's another change. All right, so codpiece, gray strips. They're huge now. They look kind of greenish even. They're way more obvious. Before you'd be like, is that just lighting? Codpiece. All right, and then the one last thing. I'm burning through this. The one last thing is... I probably missed some stuff. Let me see if I can find a close-up. Okay, so... This shows it even more. Maybe I'll go with this one. Okay, so I don't remember this cheesy plastic thing here, like this belt with the cheesy plastikies. I just don't. And then these little dangles. I don't know, like little pocket dangles. So like they have pockets now. I mean, it makes sense to have pockets. But I don't remember there being pocket or whatever those things are. I don't know. The other thing is they actually have more of a... This used to be a smooth molded cod piece here. And it looked cheesy, but now there's like more parts to it. And then the bottom sticks out more. I don't know, it gets extra protection or something. And they all have it. You can look at these old images. And that I am absolutely positive. I don't know what is about this timeline, but it just likes cod pieces on everything. So ones that didn't have cod pieces now have it. The ones, then they get it, and then it gets more. As you can see, it's like way more obvious, because this used to come to the side more, so you didn't see as much black, and it's just like... I also feel like the armor is smaller because you see more of this black under. I mean, this used to be bulky, stupid looking. It actually is not as stupid looking now. These were all bulky and clanky, and you couldn't see the joints. Oh yeah, the other thing is this has got that look like C-3PO now. It's got all this, so it's kind of like a little mini vest instead of a big cumbersome thing. So I think they're going to clank less now. See, they got the molded chest. There's a lot of black visible. Oh, look, there's another one with the weird colors. And a weird orange pauldron. I think those are people just goofing off, but... I think those are just toys, but they all have that. I mean, like... That's from... Even the oldest movies have those things I just said. Because I noticed it when I was looking in the first 3 movies. So, see, you got those, you got this. The vents are on the back of the head. And this black strip is totally different. They did not have a black strip. They were white. So they're less clunky and they got more colors and stuff. I don't even know what's going on with this orange. I think that's because it's a gun and you can't sell weaponry in the US that's fake unless it has an orange tip. So I think that's what it is. I'm not even going to ask why this guy's red. I'm afraid to ask. Maybe that's the newer guys. I don't know, in the newer shows. I have not seen these before. Is this in the newer shows? Every red trooper type in Star Wars. I don't even want to know. What's this orange one? Oh my god. No, my brain is full. I'm just not looking at anymore. Stop showing me the red ones. I don't want to see. Okay, I think that's most of it. I don't recognize that one either. The Wizard of Oz explodes with Mandelas. Yup. The colors in the background have become more primary and the sets are more cheaper. I definitely noticed some of the sets look more cheaper. Why are some things so very Emmy affected? I suspect that really what it is that many of us watched Star Wars over and over and over, so we're seeing the changes. Most of the shows I watch once and I'm not concentrating, and so if a lot of things changed, I just wouldn't notice. And in order to have a global conversation, it can't be just me that really watched it. It has to be a lot of people that really watched it. I mean, if this was some show that only I watched and you didn't, there would be no point in me coming on here saying, oh, this stuff changed. I actually do see all this stuff changing in like all my artwork at home, changing. So I do think that they all change. It's just that we can only have discussions on these things that we all watched a ton of. And if you look at the newer stuff, you know, there is no thing that everybody watches a ton of anymore. So it's going to be harder to notice changes. Like, I'm watching the Foundation series, but how many people watch the Foundation series over and over? Like, nobody. So I can't really talk about if 10 years from now the Foundation series changed. I don't think there's going to be a big bolus of people who could agree with me on it. And plus, you know, there used to be less good stuff, so you would watch stuff over and over, but it's rare to do that now because there's new stuff coming out and you'll watch that instead of the old stuff over and over. The new Parola variant mean phallus? Really, does Parola mean phallus? These new timelines do love their sex talk. Somewhere out of nowhere, 2 small trees in the front of our property, very close to the road. Yeah, trees. I do know a lot of trees. I notice a lot of tree changes. I've heard of a lot of tree changes, too. You do notice, especially when they're big ones. Kit's voice box now on his chest instead of Michael. What? Are you serious? No. Kit used to talk out of the car. The car would talk. Are you telling me that the Kit car now talks out of something on Michael Knight's chest? I'm going to have to look at that. That is not right. I know. You would see the inside of the car as Kit talked. You would see the lights light up, you know, well, you can't see it with OBS Studios, but as I talk on OBS, there's you know, one of those little sliders that boinks every time my voice gets louder. That's how it was with Kit. And it came out of the car, and Michael Knight would look at the car's little light as he talked, like he was talking to the car out of that spot. Which, now that I think about it, is kind of funny in itself. Because I don't think Kit had eyeballs there. But I have had some trees show up in my property. It's been a while since I've been up there. But there were... I wonder if they're still up there. 'Cause, like... they were little ones, though. They weren't super huge ones. But I know I didn't plant them. And they're not something that would have grown on their own, and they're all fruit trees. So I guess in some timeline, my mother did it. Oh, so your manager saw the trees? Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. They noticed, because I swear usually they're like, oh, no, they must have always been there. Yes, Joe Bloor. You know, me and we're from the same timeline or similar, because that's exactly, there were, unless you're like remembering what I said or somehow, but like, yes, there were 2 seasons of Star Trek, not 3. And about 1 out of 3 of those is new for me. There were 2 seasons. That is very true. Someone talks with a mic. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know that Kit Car's not really talking to, Michael Knight, but that's how they made it look. They didn't have it coming out of a thing on his chest. I mean, if you're saying that it was hidden on there and it just looked like it came out of the car, okay, yes. But it has to look like the car is talking, not like, I mean, I don't know how it was done in the special effects department, but I do know how it looked like in the show. So if it changed in the show, then I call Mandela. I miss people being smarter and nicer in the yellow sun. So, I think we just got to work on thinking of every way that people are still nice and every good thing that we know about in people. All the harder now, so we can bring more of that back. I do think things shifted one way, they can shift back. And this might be just, when you go through life, there's times when things get worse and they get better. And then they get worse and they get better. Or maybe it's more like that. Okay. But if every time is getting worse, you decide that the world is always going to get worse forever and ever and ever, that's really not how it works. It goes worse, it gets better. Hopefully, it's overall getting better. Okay, so we're in a lot of things look worse, but we do see some things looking better. I think we should be careful to not assume it's just going to get worse forever, because historically, that's not what happened, even in the old timelines. It's easy to start thinking that, I know. But we do see some things are getting better. And there's a lot of neat stuff like brewing, like free energy and stuff, like cold fusion, those things. You see the beautiful stuff in nature. So it's like there's some good stuff brewing. So okay, so let's see. I've only got like 6 minutes left, so. Did that. I got most of this done. All right, all right, I'm gonna do this one because it's just a simple one. All right, so we covered before that somehow old joke, where's the London Bridge? And then the answer used to be London. I swear to God, that was the answer to the joke, where's the London Bridge? Like, if you're too stupid to know where the London Bridge is, because it's obviously in London. Except for the London Bridge has been for quite some time in Arizona. Okay, so I guess now it's not a joke for dumb people. It's a joke for people who know weird little trivia. But last time I looked at this London Bridge in Lake Havasu, Arizona, the story was that they bought the London Bridge because it was going to be dismantled in London, and they had all the pieces shipped over here and they rebuilt it. And like the whole thing kind of boggles the mind of how they would be able to do that effectively. But that was the story. And when you looked at it, it did look like a London style bridge in Lake Havasu. I mean, I looked at the pictures of it, but the story has changed now. And if you look at the London Bridge in Arizona, it doesn't look like an old London Bridge anymore. It looks kind of like a new, typical American bridge. So it stopped looking awesome, and now it looks boring. It looks like a boring American bridge. I mean, it's got a couple boobas here, and maybe the top looks kind of old. But this all looks totally normal. It doesn't look like a cool, old, ancient Tartaria-style London Bridge. And I'm like, all right, so we've had it on before, but now it's like got Mandela. See, it's got the name London Bridge, blah, blah. But yet, it looks so boring now. I'm like, why give Arizona the London Bridge in one timeline and then make it look ugly or at least boring? The story's changed. Now they just took off of the London Bridge in London. They now only took exterior granite blocks from the original bridge and then cut and transported them to the United States for use in the construction of the new bridge in Lake Havasu. And the bridge itself is reinforced concrete structure clad in the original masonry of the 1830s bridge. And it's almost like, well, why even bother then? Because all you did was like get some of the stone or whatever the heck it is, bricks, granite blocks. That's it, the granite blocks. Okay, so like, who cares then? Why go through the effort of getting the granite from London Bridge if you're just going to make it look totally... So it's not London Bridge anymore. It's just some of the granite slapped on top of reinforced concrete. So I'm kind of like totally bummed out that it's now a really boring bridge that doesn't have cool stuff anymore. What's the point? It's not the London Bridge. So that kind of bugs me. I mean, the idea of buying them and moving them, I guess if you wanted the London Bridge and you had a lot of money and you had $1 billion and nothing to spend it on, maybe I would be all fickle. Like, I want the London Bridge and it's for sale. I'm just gonna, you can't take the money with you, right? I could kind of see it. Like, I'm just going to blow $1 billion. I want the London Bridge. What else are you going to spend it on? But now I understand even less because that old bridge looked beautiful, old school Tartaria bridge. I would love to have that bridge. If I had billions, maybe I would blow it on that old one, in an old Tartaria house and whatever. But now what's the point? You know, why spend a whole bunch of money on granite from the London Bridge and make it look boring as sin? I mean, I don't even like. Who knows if it even is granite from there now? There's really no way to even tell. It doesn't even look old. It looks like 30 years old. It doesn't look like hundreds of years old. All I know is I saw this video. I mean, I saw this bridge like a year or two ago when I did the first video on it. And it looked old and cool. Now it's like, meh, wah, wow. So I guess angels don't fall a year from the newer timeline, the more recent timeline, which I like. If you don't see the shift and you always knew it this way, then you're more from this territory than I am. At a grocery store earlier today, had multiple eye contact and smiles with numerous other customers. Even fun chit-chat. You know, I've really noticed if you really turn up the happy and just be really nice to people, even if they look like a sourpuss, and just be that loving, nice person that everybody loves on the block, you will bring out the good in people. And, you know, maybe that's our job, is we've got to be the good we want to see in the world. You know, instead of like, oh, they're not nice to me, you know, bring that energy back. You know, maybe we need to be the ones that do that, that we have the power to bring this back. Maybe we need to be the ones that step first on this. And I don't think it's going to hurt. Certainly. I mean, I'm not saying give him the keys of your car, you know, smile, happy. Just think anything happy you can. You know, like that guy has a really cool jacket. That woman has nice hair. You know, any nice thing you can. Any way you could do it. We gonna be the ones that do this, right? We can bring it back. All right, well, I gotta run because I'm at 2 hours. So, you know the drill. You know what to do. Think good thoughts, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.